And you're watching Business Incorporated live on Channels Television. Hope you're getting used to our new time slot now, 1:30 weekdays. And it's a wet trading day right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Here's what's coming up in the next 25 minutes. Nigeria's Debt Management Office today kicked off the August 2025 subscription window for the federal government of Nigeria saving bonds. And Egypt's industrial exports that surged by 9.9% to an estimated $17.6 billion in the first half of 2025. Plus, Kenya's dollar reserves that falls to 1.3 trillion Kenyan shillings as the shilling registers slight pressure. It's good to have you join us. I'm Vladi Williams. Let's get a quick check on what's playing out with the markets that we track now. And we see oil prices. Big pressure there. 1.62% down for Brent, $68.54 a barrel. Kicking off this trading week of August, and this first trading week of August also, WTI crude, $66.13 a barrel, a bigger 1.78% drop there. That's what's playing out for the oil market. And we see the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries there. They agreed to another output hike, and that was agreed on Sunday, 547,000 barrels. That's the update there for September, and the latest in a series of output hikes we've seen there coming out from that trade block. So we're seeing the impact right there on prices. Let's get a check on what's playing out with the metals market now. And we're seeing gold prices trading steady today, stabilizing after a sharp price previous revision there, 0.1%. That's for spot gold, $3,359. And we see it's green for the other metals we track, and the U.S. gold futures, that's up 0.4%. Spot silver trying to shine there, 0.9% up, $37.34 per ounce. And platinum, that's up 0.4%. But we see palladium on the flip side, following spot gold, down 0.2% at $1,205.93. Well, let's get a check on stories now. We see Egypt's industrial exports, that surged 9.9% to an estimated $17.6 billion in the first half of 2025. So the Minister of Industry and Transport, he announced that today. The figure is up from $16 billion in export recorded during the same period. That was in 2024. According to that, that's the Central Agency for Public Mobilization, that's CAPMAS, Egypt's total exports reached $44.84 billion in 2024, up from $42.5 billion in 2023. Let's move on to Kenya now. See Kenya's foreign currency reserves. That's declined significantly in last week of July 2025. The Central Bank of Kenya reported 1.38 trillion Kenyan shillings in US dollar reserves for the period under review. The Kenyan shilling, that slightly depreciated against the greenback and other major regional and international currencies. That's what we see there. And back here, Nigeria's Debt Management Office kicked off the August 2025 subscription window for the federal government of Nigeria saving bonds, offering investors two fixed income options, a 2-year bond at 14.401% and a 3-year bond at 15.401% per annum. The offer opened today and will run through Friday, August 8, 2025. Each bond unit priced at 1,000 naira with a 5,000 naira minimum subscription and a cap of 50 million naira per investor. The bonds mature August 13, 2027 and August 13, 2028, respectively, with quarterly coupon payments and bullet redemption of principal. The offering comes amid a slight easing in interest rates compared to July, highlighting shifting short-term yield dynamic in the Nigerian domestic securities market. And as trade relations between South Africa and the United States continue to decline, the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, that's Ronaldo Lamola, says the country is now diversifying its trade partners and exploring alternative markets, including China. Lamola noted that the impact on the economy is expected to be minimal, around 0.2% of South Africa's GDP growth, estimated that 30,000 jobs are at risk there. He emphasized that the country's economic future remains resilient. The minister was speaking during a media briefing in Johannesburg alongside officials from the Department of Trade and Industry. Take a listen.
The South African government is working with industry to consider aspects of the framework deal that can be modified in a manner that promotes predictability in trade. Implement an economic response package which includes the establishment of an export support desk, which will serve as a direct point of contact for companies affected by the US tariff hikes. The aim of this support measure is to support the diversification of export market for increased resilience and facilitate the entry into alternative markets for affected exporters. The desk will provide updates on developments and tailored advisory service to exporters on alternative destinations, guidance on market entry processes, insights into compliance requirements, and linkages to South African embassies and high commissions abroad. The contact details of the export support desk have been published on the DTIC website.
All right, let's head straight to the markets now. Let's find out what's happening on the African continent. And we see the NGX in positive territory starting off the week as the All-Share Index, that's currently up about 1.11%, driven by performance in consumer goods index. That after shedding about 14.8% in the last 4 sessions. We see international breweries, that's up about 653 basis points right now. And that's for the trade earlier today. And we're also seeing names like Boa Foods, tantalizers there, getting attention from investors. If we see also in that on the African continent, we see it's mostly positive sentiment with South Africa. But the Kenyan index there, that's the Nairobi Stock Exchange, that closed in red. That's for Friday. And we have the EGX 30 there, also closing positive there. So let's bring in my guest now. We have Mukhtar Mohammed. He's going to bring us up to speed on what's playing out right here in Nigeria. Great to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Ladi. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have some earnings out, big earnings out last week. We have the likes of MTN, Nigeria, First Holdco, that's for the Tier 1 banks, and we also had Boa Foods, that's for consumer goods. Talk to me, run me through those numbers, that we saw last week, and what it portends for investors, investor sentiment in trading markets.
Ladi, yes, like you said, those results came in. You could see investor sentiment based on reaction to those results. Boa Cement is up after that result. You could see that sales went up, the revenue went up, then FX reversal, where they keep drivers of those results. And so that means its core area was impacted positively. And those numbers were very impressive. But if you look at the dividend yield, cost of buy and buy the price, you could say that the stock looks very expensive. But I think investors are pricing into the potential of the long-term prospect of that stock. So for me, a good stock to look at this moment. Again, when you look at the movement in the cement sector, you look at Boa, you look at Lafarge, and you look at Dangote, you see that there's what we call the snowball effect that normally happens in the market. Ladi, when one moves very high, then investors are beginning to look at the next big mover in terms of price low now and good results. So that's what I think happens to Boa there, and you saw those reactions. For MTN, Ladi, I've talked about MTN in your program before. I said that's one stock to watch out for. This is the first time we are seeing the result after the price increment. So you could see that movement, you could see investors' reaction to that very positive results from MTN Nigeria, FX reversal, data, increment in data price. Everything was just good about that result. A stock that started the year at 176 naira and today is doing about 481 and still have high potentials to go up. If you remember now, we are not even looking at, they are also like a money deposit bank because they have their Momo money. We are not beginning to see this number comes in. Hopefully we'll begin to see that comes in from their payment platform. So very good stuff. For First Holding, Ladi, the result was neither here nor there. Good result. Impact on imperative charges were very high. Profit after tax, good. But in the long run, you saw a negativity in those results. And investors reacted immediately to that result. And you saw what the numbers say. So for me, out of the 3 good results that were released last week, we saw 2 very positive. We saw a little bit moderation, which is expected from First Holding, remember, they are also doing what I call cleansing. So the elephant is still crawling at the moment. Hopefully, the elephant will fly very soon.
That's a very heavy flying elephant, at this point. But let me take you back to the M10 result. There, we did see the Momo users that dropped at this point, and we know that's a very interesting part of your business right now. Any worries there about 51% drop year on year?
I didn't get that question.
Yeah, the Momo users, we see for the mobile wallets, that's for MTN there, 2.7 million for Q2 is a drop about 51% year on year. Any worries there?
Well, Larry, there will be worries, but again, you look at the impact of other sectors to cover up for that. So definitely, hopefully they will work on that. Any lose is a worry, and a worry of about 57.something%. I think it calls for concern. But like I said, there are FX gains, reversal, especially from the FX side, is helping those numbers.
All right. So what earnings are you looking forward to this week that you think will drive investor sentiment on the Nigerian market?
Larry, you know where the earnings are come. You know the life of the Nigerian market, and we have not seen them come in with those results yet. The financial sector, the FUGA, we've only seen one First Holding. You know that First Holding does not pay interim dividend. We've been getting reports from Zenith, from Access, and from GTCO, others saying that they are in their close period, and they have approved dividend payments subject to approval from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Larry, that would be a key driver in the shift from what was expected based on the forbearance issue that came out, where banks will say they will not be able to pay dividend for the next 2 years. Now we are seeing a change in that, and the CBN alluded to that during the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, where the CBN governor said that 8 banks are out of those forbearance issues, and we are beginning to see that when those banks are saying that the board have recommended dividend payment, interim dividend payment, based on approval from the CBN. That will be a key mover of the market when those results comes in. That will be a key driver, and you've seen that these stocks have moved also. From Access Bank at the time before now, we saw that price was hovering around 21, 22, 23 as one of his limit. But today we've seen that bank have caught a new support level of 28 naira. So that tells you something is cooking there. You've seen Zenith also moved. You've seen GTCO cross the 100 naira mark and also hovering between the 100 naira and 101. So definitely, with those results, when they comes in, they are always the key drivers of the market. Outside this positive result that we've seen from other banks, especially from other banks, their Q2 results, Wema Bank, don't forget, very, very impressive result from Wema Bank also. So FCMB, very impressive result from FCMB also. So it's a tick to what will happen. But again, like you asked, what are the key drivers? Once those financial reports begin to come in, then the game changes.
Right. We'll definitely keep watching the game this week. Thank you so much. Mukhtar Mohammed is the CEO, Finance with Mukhtar. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Ladi.
All right, let's get a check on other markets now. That's the Middle East. We see it's mostly mixed sentiment right there with Arab Emirates kicking off the new trading week there. We see 0.17% down for Abu Dhabi, Dubai, 0.22%. Other markets we track in the Middle East, we see the likes of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, with the Tadawul there. Marginal drop there is about 6 basis points. Qatar, that's up 0.11%. So it's a mixed picture right there in the Middle East. Let's get a quick check on the U.S. now. We see for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, that's the futures. We see it's green there. Kind of a recovery from the sell-offs we saw on Friday, 0.45%. A bigger move for the tech-heavy NASDAQ, 0.70%. Yeah, it was the biggest drop we had for Friday. That's talking about the NASDAQ there, losing that 24,000 point level. Let's get a quick check on Asia. Now we see Asia markets close kind of mixed too. Nikkei 1.25, a big drop there, 40,290 points. Kospi 0.91% up to close. Hang Seng Index 0.92% up. We look at other markets in Asia now. That's the Nifty 50. That's up 0.64% to close, 24,722 points. And the Shanghai Composite 0.66%. So it's a mixed picture right there for the markets we track in Asia. All right, let's get a check on Europe now. We have Cassandra soon to bring us up to speed on what's playing out in Europe. Great to have you, Cassandra.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
All right, so talk to me. What are we seeing for trading right there in Europe?
Well, you were talking about recovery just a moment ago, and we've definitely seen some of that today. And it's really been a tale of two tariff situations. So on the one hand, you have the European Union. They struck a deal with President Trump last week, and their major indices have been edging higher today. The Pan-European Stock 600 rose 0.7%. The DAX in Frankfurt is up just over 1%. The CAC 40 is also up 0.9% at last check. And on the other side of the channel, of the English channel anyway, and I know the UK famously outside of the EU, but the UK has struck a deal with President Trump, and what the London FTSE 100 is looking like is a slight uptick there. But meanwhile, in Switzerland, this is a bit of a test case on the other side. They've not made a deal with the U.S., and they just came back from a long weekend, and they're staring down the barrel of 39% U.S. tariff rates, and that country's SMI index fell 1.5% as trading resumed this morning after the long weekend. It's climbed a bit since then, down 0.4% at last check.
All right, so staying in Switzerland now, we see negotiations open tomorrow on a deal to reduce plastic waste around the globe. Delegates from 180 nations are expected to take part in this. After failing to reach a deal, last year, what are the stakes with this 10-day meeting?
Right. Well, the stakes are incredibly high for all sides. Let's not forget that the global plastics industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and that global plastic consumption is set to triple by 2060. That's at least according to OECD projections on the current situation if nothing changes. But the UN is even projecting that in the next 15 years, the amount of plastic waste in soils and waterways is expected to surge by 50%. Meanwhile, less than 10% of plastic is actually recycled. So take that combination of increasing plastic production and more plastic waste. Now, keep in mind that plastic, when it breaks down, think of a plastic bottle on a roadway that gets repeatedly run over, that these teeny tiny plastic bits are finding their way into literally every part of the human body, from being absorbed to the skin, to being found in the brain, to even being found in breast milk.
So what are the areas of agreement and disagreement?
Well, these 10 days of talks are set to open tomorrow, but this has been a multi-round talk situation, and it's unclear if that's going to be enough time to iron out the 300 points that still need to be resolved. The biggest sticking point is whether to restrict production of new plastic. Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Russia have opposed those limits. And another one is whether to create a list of dangerous chemicals. Here we're talking about these so-called forever chemicals that folks have probably heard about that take an extremely long time to break down. So negotiators, at least on the side of limiting plastic, are keen to avoid another round of talks after this one, but it's really unclear if even 10 days is enough time to get an all-encompassing deal to be reached in Geneva.
All right, so much to look out for, I guess, this week and in that 10 days. Thank you so much, Cassandra Sun, for bringing us up to speed on what's playing out in Europe.
Thank you.
All right, let's get a quick check now on the crypto market. Now, seen, there was also, some kind of recovery today for the crypto market. Friday was blood red for most of the risk assets, and we see Bitcoin there trying to recover $114,000 there, 0.35% up for Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's also trying to get back up big there, 1.91%. There's a big bounce there. BNB 1.09%. That's a native token for the Binance cryptocurrency exchange. So it's mostly green and a couple of reds there with some stable coins caught up in that red market there. So we're seeing profit taking that has interrupted the 15-week winning streak of global cryptocurrency ETPs. Last week as investor sentiment was hit by hawkish remarks after last week's U.S. Fed rate decision, and all of that there driving investor sentiment. Let's bring in Rumi Ofi now to bring us up to speed on what to expect for this trading day and this trading week and trading month. Hello, Rume.
Hello, Daddy.
Yeah, great to have you. Great to have you, Rume. So I know it's a wet day, wet trading day right here in Lagos, Nigeria, but that's not impacting what's playing out in these markets. We're seeing a bounce now for Bitcoin and Ethereum. What did you see play out last week that drove the sell-offs that we saw on Friday?
What is going on in the market right now is last week it was really a downside, most especially because of the jobs, certain data, the economic data that actually came up, and the market actually was kind of disappointed. The market is actually front-running a couple of informations that are not correct. With a whole lot of things that are happening. For me, a few downsides to come because the market are overbought. You can see even in the stock, U.S. stocks is really high, and some other asset markets, even also crypto. You've seen Ethereum, Bitcoin, or some altcoins having a run with the fact that the new regime of tariff is actually here. So traders should be very careful because there are various kind of movement downwards. For example, we can see a correction, we can see a downside movement, and a couple of other things. Some actually being caused by market retracement because of some fundamental analysis or maybe technical pullback. But when it's being done by a global market pullback, it really means that there's something significant that is happening, which is the fact that something is going to happen per adventure. The market is overbought, then it needs to reset. And in doing so, people need to understand that it's also a very good opportunity to fill their bags rather than just panic sell. But it's really not easy. The current president of the United States, very impulsive in his speaking and expect anything. A huge volatile market has actually begun.
And what are you seeing, for the month of August? Is this a sign of things to come, for this month? Maybe a major correction?
So the market hates uncertainties. The crypto market hates uncertainties highly, and it seems that we are getting to a point of heightened uncertainties. The tariff is actually playing in. A couple of tariffs are going to be implemented in this week. The U.S. President actually fired the BLS, that's the Bureau of Labor Statistics head. Is actually going to appoint a new one and also appoint a new Fed chair, which is most likely going to take going to take effect from if the current Fed chair didn't resign. So it's just a very funny Donald Trump was saying, and it's playing out in the market right about now, where he thinks that if you appoint a new chair, Jerome Powell is going to most likely resign, which is most likely going to send a signal to a regime of rate cuts. But for crying out loud, the Jerome Powell is saying that the economy is not enough now to cut, which plays a role in the crypto market because if there's a cut now, we're going to see a lot of excitement right about now. But it's healthy that we see some pullback so that in case we have in case Jerome Powell resigns, which is going to take a few months for the new one is going to come because the U.S. Senate has to come to clear the new one, which is going to take maybe like October. We could see some upside movement to the early part of next year. But if that doesn't happen, if we still have heightened rate this year for a very long period of time, we're most likely going to see towards the end of the year to next year, we're going to see something good. But in August, September, it's very dicey, heightened volatility. Like I really mean heightened volatility. We're at the point now where we can see 20-30% dump before we get to a new all-time high.
All right, and I guess at this point, maybe you're not looking forward to any alt season.
Yeah, so alt season is going to come. Alt season is going to come if we see some clarity in the market. The uncertainty is so high now. Alt season is going to come with some clarity because we've seen Bitcoin do all-time high. So this bull market is going to be very dicey, not like the regular one. So we'll see, Bitcoin has actually done a new all-time high. Next, liquidity starts flowing to Ethereum. We've seen Ethereum hasn't gotten to its all-time high. BNB has actually done that, and a couple of others doing that. But
Right.
this one is going to be a bit different. So altcoins are going to see some meltdown a bit. Then maybe we're not going to see that idea of Bitcoin reaching all-time high again before. No, but eventually it might just be when the market sees a clear path. We will just start with an altcoin season.
So I guess this
at
is
that
not
point
the
in time.
tide that takes all ships up at the same time. Anyway, we'll keep tracking it. Thank you so much, Remy Ofi, for bringing us up to speed on what's playing out with the markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ladi.
All right, so that's how most of the markets we track are looking today. We're seeing recovery in some parts and not that much recovery in others. We'll give you more updates tomorrow and also catch you on News at 10. We'll give you the close. That's for the NGX there, the Niger stock market. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Wole, and from here, the team right here at Channels HQ. It's bye for now.